I just hit 25,000 subscribers on this channel, and that is incredible. Like, it's not like a big deal in the grand scheme of YouTube, but it's a pretty big deal to me. That's like as many people lived in the town that I went to college in, and to think that every single person in that town knew who I was and wanted to hear what I had to say, that's kind of unreal. So to celebrate, I asked you guys what questions you had for me, and today I'm gonna answer the best ones that I got. Starting with, when are you gonna get oiled up for a favorite type of videos to make? I like to make the video that I'm interested in at the time. I found that I'm a little ADHD, and so I'll like hyper focus on something and like really deep dive into it. Like the Daft Punk pedal video that I put out that has done really, really well, like that's just a pedal that's just always really fascinated me, and so it was fun to just like dive really deep into it and make something interesting with it. I really enjoyed like the bass specific videos like the T-Bird and the Stingray, and those videos have all done really well too. You'll notice that I'm not saying the how to sound like videos, which I haven't made one of those in I think a couple of years now. Has it been that long already? Like, I had fun with those at first, and they were a really good concept that people generally really liked, but the Dave Ellefson video in particular kind of broke me, because I feel like I was spending so much time learning those parts, and they were really complicated parts, and like trying to dial in that sound on that multi-effect pedal, and I just like agonized over like the tiniest little things about it, and I was tweaking it for weeks. And then I just didn't get a very good response on it, and like I wasn't really that satisfied with it. So when I put that video out and saw how it was doing and what people were saying about it, I kind of decided to just take a break from it for a little while, and I've just never gotten back to those. And I don't know if I ever will. I've brainstormed a few ideas, just like ways to make those fun for me again. Like doing them as a live stream seemed kind of interesting. I just don't know though, because like live streams like really take it out of me. So I don't know if we'll do that. I've tried like live streaming video games with my brother, and after about 2 hours, I just want to die. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe we'll try it. Just let me know if that's something you'd like to see. Why is the Peavey T-40 the best bass ever? I don't know that I've ever actually played a Peavey T-40, so I couldn't say for sure, but I know what the best T-40 review is, and it's this one.
I'll tell you what that is. That is a bass, obviously. It's a Peavey, says it on the back. I don't know why it's on the back like me, won't can see it, but it's a Peavey T-40 bass. Let's weigh the bastard and see how much it does actually weigh. Right, that is... Oh, fuck me, ow!
And you should definitely go and watch the rest of that video because it's hilarious. About like once a year, I go back and I watch this video and it just kills me every single time. How do I find a band to play in, and how did you do it? Finding a band as a bass player, like everybody tells you, is like super easy. Like bass players are always needed. Like everybody needs a bass player because nobody wants to play bass and all that stuff. But I feel like, you know, bass is maybe easier to find a band than if you're a guitar player because the market is smaller. But I think that it's way more difficult to find spots than, say, like a drummer or a keyboard player. So the way it worked for me when I first moved to Utah in 2018, I didn't really know anybody. Like, I had friends here, but they weren't really a part of the music scene. So I just went to a site called KSL. It's basically like Craigslist, but it's just more widely used here in Utah. Don't worry about it. I have found bands on Craigslist, too. In fact, one of my best friends I've ever met, I met on the San Diego Craigslist, and, you know, we still hang out to this day. But you can find bands on those boards. They're kind of a crapshoot. The best way to find bands is through people. So I actually did link up with a friend that I'd had in college, Jake, who I'm still playing a band with to this day. And through him, I started meeting other musicians. We'd have people come into the band. Sometimes they would just be a sub. Sometimes they ended up being a permanent member. And every time I meet a new musician, it plugs me into a different group of musicians. And at this point, I know probably close to 100 people that play just about everything from saxophone to drums to, you know, keys. Try and just get into the network. Like, you can definitely use like classifieds and, you know, Craigslist and stuff, but the best thing is to just know people. And you can get to know people through like jam sessions or just by going to shows and talking to people. Community is still number one. You can't do everything online, as it turns out, which I know is scary to the introverts like us, but you do it at a certain point, have to talk to people in person. Unfortunately. What's your favorite goofy bass? I don't know if you'd call it a goofy bass, but I've always wanted a Fender Performer. They made these in the 80s. They were mostly like a Japan thing, but I just love that pointy headstock and that just like kind of ultra strat body. I think it's so cool. I actually did get a chance to play one of these at my local guitar shop recently, and it was everything I hoped it could be. I could not afford it at the time. In fact, I have gone all year long without buying anything but strings. This has been my year without gear. Hashtag year without gear. But yeah, Fender Performer. I wish they would reissue those. I think they are so sick. But I also understand that they are not everybody's cup of tea, and that is totally fine. I just have a real soft spot for 80s everything. 80s guitars, 80s cars. I dig it. Oh, in fact, yeah, this is my birth year bass, my 1988 Aria. I made a video on that, which you can watch here. Hey, I even pointed to the right place on the first try. It only took me 25,000 subscribers to get to that point. What riff or bass line do you wish you wrote? Ooh. Well, my kind of go-to bass lick right now is either Good Times or... Oh, fuck, what the hell's the name of it? I am blanking so hard. I play it every time I pick up a bass. Forget-Me-Nots. Ironically, oh my god, of course that's what it is. You know the one. Anyway, that's the one. Do you think the tonewood argument is still valid, or have modern basses / equipment come so far it doesn't matter? I would argue that tonewood has never mattered. To me, the difference is just so small that it's just not even worth worrying about. In fact, when I had my first Seric built, I asked Jake, the luthier, about what woods he would recommend, and even he admitted that they were purely aesthetic. Like, just choose the one that looks the best to you. Because maybe maple is a little bit brighter, and maybe rosewood is a little bit darker. But that is a difference that you can completely mitigate with EQ. Like, it just doesn't matter enough to worry about. And I don't understand why people make such a big deal over that and not their playing. Because I feel like the people who talk to me the most about tone, like, oh, I got these new pickups and they just sound amazing, or I got this tube amp and it just sounds so much better than the other thing, and just like when I switch to this thing, blah, 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 like all that stuff, I find that they are just not very good players. And I feel like tone is definitely important. It's absolutely critical to have good tone, but you can have the best tone in the world and it will not matter if your playing isn't good. So focus on your playing and practice. And don't get caught up in gear, because it doesn't matter nearly as much as you think. And tonewood matters almost not at all. What are the funniest mistakes you've made during a live show? Oh man, I remember one recently. I wonder if I have video of it. I might.
Not this time.
But we stepped up there to play, and I was trying to tune my bass, and it just like didn't seem like it was moving at all. And then the drummer, started counting off the song, and I was like, oh, shoot, I'm not in tune. So I turned off my tuner, and was like, we'll just send it anyway. And nothing happened, because as it turns out, I had unplugged my bass. And so I had to, quickly, and then, fix the tuning that I'd screwed up, and we're, halfway through the first verse of the song. Not a great look. What was the bass you regret selling the most? I've actually not sold that many basses. It looks like I have a lot of basses. I think at the moment I've got, 12-ish, but I think in my entire life since I started playing bass in 2007, I think 2006. Yeah, I think since I started playing bass in 2006, I've sold 3 basses. 4 basses. 4 basses total. I sold my very first bass, which was an Ibanez SR300. I sold it to a bass student who tells me he still has it, which is awesome. He's still playing. I had an Ibanez SR205. It was a silver 5-string. It was my first attempt with 5-string, and I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't know how to use it, and so I had it for a summer and then got rid of it. I also had a Made in Mexico Sunburst Fender Jazz, and I ended up keeping the white Squire one that I have. I did a shootout video. I'll put that up here a long time ago. So that was the other bass that I sold. It's funny, I ended up keeping the Squire because I just ended up liking it better over time. But the bass that I actually regret the most was the Ibanez ATK 300 that I had. And that bass was really, really cool. The Stingray thing was boat anchored, super heavy. But I had like those bright green strings on it. It's the bass that I did the Ain't It Fun video on, which I think a lot of you might recognize. That was my first like big video that I ever had. But yeah, that bass I think about sometimes. It's with a friend of mine. He still has it, and I think about buying it back sometimes. And then I think, like, I've already got so many basses, I don't need any more. Anyway, that's all the questions I've got for now. If you have other questions for me, do leave a comment down below. If you aren't already, do please subscribe. If you'd like to support me with actual money, you can subscribe to my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Or I've just added the YouTube channel memberships, which you can explore down below. You get early access to videos and a cute little toonie next to your name, which is kind of fun. Thank you so much for watching. I've got some really interesting stuff planned for the rest of the year. We're going to talk about some more basses. We're going to talk about some more pedals. I'm going to do a video about compression. I've got an interesting video about an online AI tool that I think you guys will really dig. So be sure you're subscribed so that you see those, and I'll catch you on the next video. AMP out.